And just a piece of history before we go further is this cup here. This is 98 years old and was presented to the RMS, which we now know as Royal Mail Ship, Laconia, IA being Cunard. And that was presented by American Express, actually, on completion of this ship's 130-day world voyage. Now, the crux of this is, after that point, a Cunard vessel of some description did a world cruise every year, so it's quite significant in that way. It isn't solid silver, but it really is a lovely, lovely exhibit, and 98 years old. Now, I could see Mum in that for a start. That was my mother through and through. But these were very popular, the design on the QE-2 for second class in the day, with your Samsonite suitcases. As I say, this would be second because first purely was Cartier, Aquascutum, Louis Farreau, and so on. And the Titanic movie portrayed that very well indeed. But a bit of nostalgia in that regard. Now let's go and tackle another couple of questions, the first of which, how did the ship arrive in Dubai, and also why Dubai? Around 2002, because they were having to think about building a new ship or bringing this one up to spec through the SOLAS regulation. And frankly, all things being considered, it was cheaper to build a new ship, which they did. You've got to not only consider the here and now, but the projection of 15 or 20 years. Would she still have been sailing? Probably not, frankly. So they decided to retire the QE-2, and the last journey or voyage was from the 11th of November in Southampton to the 26th of November here in Dubai. A very emotive cruise indeed. 952 cabins sold out in 35 minutes. That's astonishing. And the lowest price you would pay was £1,000 a night for 16 nights. I know that for a fact because my friend was on board on that voyage. And I mean, that's astonishing. This is a lovely picture here of the Commodore Prince Philip, but here this man is very significant. The last captain of the ship, Ian McNaught. And he was a tough military man, I must say. I served under him as captain. But I will say this, when he had to command to turn the engines off for the last time, tears in his eyes. This ship meant so much to so many. It was really quite astonishing. Here we have a lovely welcome in Dubai with the A380 flying across. His Highness's yacht Dubai in the flotilla. But with respect, we didn't know what was happening. We had the recession then, what was going to happen. But in the end, 2 years ago, we opened as a hotel, which we still now are, and very pleased to say she's getting the life back. Now, why Dubai? Well, the Sheikh loves the ship, that's the bottom line really. Other than that, it's a nautical emirate, but moreover, they have the money. And this is very significant because the QE-2 has an awful lot of, we weren't designed to sit in 40-degree heat every day for one thing. So, it's had a lot of attention needed, but I will say the people who own it love her so much, and that's the key. significance is the structure of this room. Your fiberglass, glass reinforced plastic, the ceiling, very space age in design, and that was the intent when it was built. And they've done a pretty good job. We can see here the interior, really Art Deco. I mean, it's fabulous in the day. I love this furniture, and inspired heavily by the Queen's cousin David Hicks. Now, what happened in this room during my 6 years? Well, we had lecturers in here. Buzz Aldrin, the astronaut, for example, he lectured in here. Terry Waite was in here. Many film stars would lecture. Gary Lineker, Alan Hansen, many of those. Also, we would have afternoon tea. Not at 3:30, not at 4:30, 4 o'clock on the nose, afternoon tea would happen. And then part of my job, which is where I want my phone, part of my job every evening was ballroom dancing, as suggested here, with the single ladies on board. It was a tough job, but we managed it very well indeed. And Sydney Opera House, and a glamorous lady on your arm, what more could you wish for, you know? And people often say to me, who was the most famous person you met? Well, I could list many. Who was the most influential is another matter. And this is where this lady comes in. In 1998, I was ballroom dancing then with the last remaining passenger alive from the Titanic disaster. This was extraordinary. Now, she was 2 months old when that ship sunk, a baby in a lifeboat. Her parents sunk with the ship.
Aww.
But how she had turned her life around, frankly, by helping other people, was amazing. I'd like to show you this picture. This is me on the left with more hair, but that in the middle is Milvina Dean, the last survivor living from Titanic. That, ladies and gentlemen, is history. Now, it was lovely to meet Her Majesty. It was lovely to meet Nelson Mandela, David Beckham, the list could go on. That was great. This was another league, as far as I was concerned. And I'll never forget her as long as I live.